Thank you for joining. This is Mantra Flower Tarot, and we are doing the Aries read for the month of March. Alright, Aries, let's see what we have going on for March. Please make sure you like and subscribe if the message resonates. If it doesn't resonate, just wasn't your message. Check out your other placements if it does not resonate. What do we got going on for Aries in March? What is the main energy for Aries in March? Alright. Ten of Pentacles, first card out. So it looks like March is going to definitely be a money month for you, Aries. You may be more concerned and thinking about different ways to build your wealth, as well as different ways to possibly move up within your career. That's going to be the overall energy for all of March for you. This could even be like, I just got the message of like, how do you say that? Like the message of getting with your partner and like, hey, we need to create a financial plan here. Let's go over our budget. Let's create a budget. Trying to just become a lot more financially secure, actually build savings, build wealth that you can accumulate and build on top of. This could be like investing in something that you see that could be successful long term. But yeah, I'm definitely getting some vibes here where it's like you're in a relationship and you're like, hey, we got to sit down and talk about finances. We got to start doing this a little bit different to make it a little bit more successful for us. Give me one more card. Thank you. Okay. So, what I'm seeing here, so we have the Tower, we have the Eight of Pentacles, the Queen of Cups, and the Four of Cups. So what I'm seeing is that sometime in March, Aries, there is going to be a sudden change, quick upheaval. The thing that I see most is that lightning bolt. That's kind of what I'm focusing on here. And the Tower moment, it doesn't always have to be a bad moment. Sometimes it's just letting you know, like, hey, this is a change that needs to happen, and we're going to create this change. The universe is coming down. They're striking in with that lightning bolt to really mix things up. This could be, usually it's something that, you've gotten signs from and you felt that you need to address or approach, and you just keep ignoring it for whatever reason, or it just is not happening. So then at some point, some kind of event comes through that forces you to recognize it, that forces you to address whatever it is. And so what I'm getting here is that there is going to be some kind of sudden change, and it does have something to do possibly with your financial situation, and that's kind of why you're focusing on it in March. The Eight of Pentacles is all about mastery. It's about, trying over and over and over, trying to perfect something, trying to really master it, really understand it, and do something about it. So what I'm getting is that when this Tower moment comes in and happens, the lasting effect, the outcome here is that you're kind of forced to possibly like focus more on work, or actually like, take that certification that you've been putting off, reading that book that you just haven't been reading because you'd rather go out and do something fun. What I'm getting here is that there's some kind of Tower moment that forces you to do something that you've needed to do, but you just keep kind of putting it off. But whatever this is meant to help you in your career. It's meant to help you in your financial stability as well as just your home life. And it could be something like, completing a survey, doing a project for work or school, learning more about a subject that, it's not like super exciting to learn about, but it's necessary. And what you're going to get out of that is everything's going to calm down. Once you start to focus on the things that you need to and actually do those things, your emotions are going to start to level out here, Aries. You're going to start feeling a lot more calm within yourself. Even if that tower moment created a little bit of chaos around you, that's fine, because you're going to be able to sit in your emotions very comfortably. You're not questioning things as much. You're like, okay, I know what I'm doing, and now I'm feeling like emotionally secure because I'm focusing on what I need to focus on. But at the same time, what I am getting is that, it could be that you delayed it for so long, but there is going to be things that come across. They're going to be, I don't want to call them distractions per se, but you will have different opportunities, and people might approach you about different things. And this could be like your friends saying, hey, let's go out party like we usually do. And you're going to have to start telling them no. Like, you're going to have to start turning down things that are emotionally fulfilling for you. So they may be fun. It may be things that you enjoy doing. Maybe cutting back on your hobby, anything like that. But it's something that you enjoy doing, and you're going to have to start resisting it and saying no to it in order to complete the mastery and the practice that you need to put into the situation. So this tower moment really created a chain reaction for you to kind of refocus your mind, refocus your thoughts, and, get down to work and get into the nitty-gritty. You might have gotten distracted in previous months, where it's like you just couldn't figure out, how do I get back on this routine? How do I start investing in this again? How do I get back where I'm supposed to be? That tower moment really shook things up for you and brought you back to the place that you needed to be. So now you're able to finally, say no and get back in line with your priorities here. So I'm seeing that as being the first part of March. Okay, we're just going to move that over so I can move these up for you. So this is going to be in the first part of March. I usually do like thirds, so this is like the first week to week and a half of March. Then going into the middle of March here, it looks like we have some conflict. So what I'm getting from this card, starting here, working our way down, what I'm getting is there's some kind of mental conflict that you're going to be going through, and you're not going to know if you should be walking away or if you should be fighting for it. And that's kind of where this Two of Swords comes into play here. That's the energy that I was picking up on Five of Swords, but it's confirmed by the Two of Swords here. There is going to be a situation in the second half of March where it seems that you're kind of trying to figure out, do I really fight for this? Do I give it my all? Do I go in after it? Or am I throwing my sword down and walking away from this? I think that you know what the answer is, but you're so up in your head about it, it seems. I'm getting the feeling, I just got the word love, so it could be about a relationship or a love situation here. But what I'm getting is that you're thinking so much about trying to make the right decision here that it's actually preventing you from making a decision at all. It's creating a lot more mental conflict for you than it should. And then if you keep moving down here, we have the Four of Pentacles. And I think part of the reason it's creating so much mental conflict is because it has something to do, again, back on the overall focus of the month. It has something to do with your ability to create wealth as well as to maintain wealth, to have stability. So it could be that this first part of March, you finally refocused, you've gotten back where you need to be as far as where your priorities are and building that wealth and doing what you need to do, putting that hard work in to get to a good place. But then the second half of March, something is challenging that. Something could be threatening it, and you just want to hold on to what you're in the middle of creating, and it's going to create some conflict for you. Now, the conflict is nothing that you can't work through. As you see, these are wands that they're doing, so it's almost like a practice conflict here, like they're play fighting almost. The Five of Swords is like the real fight. This is more of like the practice fight. So what I'm getting is that something's kind of threatening your wealth, but I'm getting told that it's more in your head, right? It's more of something that you're believing is threatening your stability here. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually threatening your stability. And the Five of Wands, it's coming in here as the more you hold on to your wealth, your stability, your finances, things like that, everything that you just kind of started getting back into, the more conflict you're going to be faced with. These could range from like friends, family, people at work, coworkers, your boss, strangers. You're going to start running into just random kind of conflict events during the middle of March. It could be something as like someone wanting to challenge you about like, oh, you didn't give me back all my money. Like when you're going through a checkout line, and they give you your change back. It's almost like you're looking at your change and you're like, hey, you didn't give me back 5 cents. Like I'm 5 cents short. And they're like, what are you talking about? I gave you all your money back. So it's like little things around money because you're starting to hold on a little bit too tight to your finances that it's starting to create some conflict. All of a sudden you remember that friend that never paid you back that $10 that one time you went out. Now you're calling them and you're feeling some kind of way and you're like, hey, you never gave me my money back. I'm gonna need you to pay that back. And they're like, dude, that was last year. What are you talking about? Like that was a whole year ago. Like you're upset with me now about something that happened last year. So when you hold on to those finances a little too hard, it's gonna start creating conflicts here and there for you. Looking into the last part of March here, so towards the end of March, not liking the Seven of Swords here, okay? The initial feel that it's giving me is, it's almost like a paranoia kind of feeling here. I feel like you might be a little paranoid, like again, in the middle of March, you're holding so tightly onto your finances here, and it's creating these small little random conflicts with everyone around you that towards the end of March, you're actually getting kind of paranoid that people are out to get you. Like it's up in your head that people are coming after you. They want to I don't know where this reading is going or how we even got here. But what I'm getting is like you're literally getting like paranoid. Like in your mind, you're starting to think that all these different people are coming after your money. They're all trying to sabotage you and take something from you. The paranoia here is because he's looking back at those two swords. He's collected 5 swords, and yet he's looking back at the 2 swords as if someone is going to pick them up and, do something with them towards him. So it's almost like he's trying to collect all these swords so that they can't be used against him. And because he's leaving 2 behind, it's like, are those 2 gonna knock me down? Are they gonna swipe me down? So you're definitely by the end of March, you're getting more into an energy of being a little bit more defensive, way more selective with like who you keep in your company. You're questioning things more. You're questioning people and their motives more. But then the good thing is you have the Justice coming in. Okay, so there's going to be some kind of event, or even a person is what I'm getting. A person maybe coming in and they're helping you kind of release holding on to these finances a little too tightly. They're helping you see through the delusion, because you know what they say, when you act in a lack energy, things become lack. Okay, so it's almost like someone's coming in here to help balance the scales out for you. They're coming in and they're, I don't see it as someone giving you money. I see it more as them teaching you or showing you something or helping you go through some kind of experience where you realize that you can focus on money without being obsessed with it and then getting paranoid about it. So they're coming in with some kind of justice here for you. They're coming in and helping you realize, yes, you may have lost these things, but look at everything else that you've gained. That kind of energy here. And then once you realize that and justice has been served, and again, that justice being served is more so you awakening to a new realization. I'm getting a lot of hangman energy here, actually, where it's like you're realizing something else, you're realizing something different. Maybe it's that, anyone that slighted you in the past when it came to your finances, they're going to get their karma. It's not for you to worry about that. It'll handle itself. But then you can start moving more into this emperor energy, because you're regaining your confidence, you're regaining your self-awareness. you're back on track, you know. So it's almost like the beginning of March is a huge upheaval for you. It's meant to really like shake things up to get you back in line and focus, so that by the end of March, you're coming back into your financial wealth, you're at peace with it, you're feeling more abundant, you're realizing, you know, this is the kind of work that you have to maintain and put in on a consistent effort in order to stay in this King of Wands energy where you're successful, you're passionate, you know, you're back to your old self, you're not like hiding away. I get a lot of hermit energy in the spread where it's like you're hiding away the whole entire month of March, just really focusing and just paying attention to your finances more than anything here. So that's kind of the overall spread for March that I'm seeing here. And let's just start to clarify each moment here. What I like to do and what they're kind of pushing me to do, just because of the nature of the spread, this is the Dark Mirror tarot cards. And so this is going to let you see like what your shadow side is, like what you need to pay attention or watch out for about yourself, or things that you're not really noticing that are happening within yourself. So this is going to be more of like your shadow work that you're able to do to possibly help transition yourself through these moments in March a little bit easier here. So let's look at the first part of March, the beginning of March. What can Aries look out for? What does Aries need to be aware of about themselves during the first part of March here? What does Aries need to be looking out for during the first part of March here? Thank you. Oh, look, they gave me second and third as well. All right. Let's go ahead and lay these out. Okay, so it looks like for the first part of March, we have the child I was meant to be. Okay? So what this is giving me, the energy that it's giving me here, is that you're almost looking back, like in the first part of March when this upheaval happens and that tower moment comes in to really shake things up. It's almost like you kind of go within and you start to reminisce a little bit on like where things in your life have gone wrong. I'm starting to get more of a solemn energy here. It's like where things have gone wrong in your life, like growing up as a child, like maybe you weren't taught how to manage your money properly, and so you're reflecting on that and you're really thinking about it, and it's like, you know, I got robbed of that. I wasn't able to be taught that. You know, why wasn't I able to have that kind of education or that kind of experience that led me to the point that I'm at now? So there might be a little bit of energy in the beginning of March where you're really reflecting back on your childhood. And I don't want to say it like this, but I mean, there's no other way to really say it. I'm getting like an energy of almost like blaming your parents, blaming your upbringing on all your current issues and like troubles that you have, all the challenges that are coming to you. There's almost like an underlying energy of like wanting to blame the people that were, the adults specifically that were involved in your childhood here. And so you're kind of like reflecting back on like child I was meant to be. So the shadow side here, the shadow work that you can do is making sure you're going within, healing that inner child, taking responsibility for yourself as an adult, and understanding that, you know, just because you went through those things as a child does not mean that you cannot change them now that you're an adult. Now it's your responsibility to kind of overcome that and to change those things and make those changes for yourself. In the middle of March, we have today for tomorrow, okay? So the middle of March, it looks like, and I'm just trying to see, I thought I saw something on this card. Interesting. Today for tomorrow. Let's see if it'll focus. I can't tell. I don't think it'll focus here. Today for tomorrow. So again, the middle of March is where some of that conflict begins to arise for you. Where you're starting to hold on a little bit too tight, you're starting to overthink a situation, feeling like you could be threatened almost, like for what you began to work for, and so that conflict is going to start coming in here. And so the shadow side of that I'm getting from the today for tomorrow is like you're looking so much into what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen next week, what's going to happen in at the end of the year. You're constantly using the present day to prepare for the next day. So you're never truly living in the present moment. And that's where a lot of some of this conflict could be arising from, is because you're constantly thinking, if I, let's say, if I go out to lunch with this person today, um, you know, are they going to expect me to take them to lunch again tomorrow? So it's that kind of thinking, it's that kind of mentality where you're so focused on everything that you're doing in the present day and how it's going to affect next day, how it's going to affect tomorrow's finances or tomorrow's investments. Like, you may be overthinking that piece way too much, and that's where that conflict comes in. Aries, there's always going to be times where you have to spend more money. And then there's other times where you don't have to spend any money. But everyone goes through financial losses and financial gains. It's almost like a roller coaster, okay? Sometimes you cannot focus strictly on that roller coaster, because once you focus too much on the roller coaster, you begin to really resist any abundance that can come in. You begin to block yourself off from the positive things that can come in from that roller coaster when it's at its peak. We all have our lows, okay? But you just have to learn to live for today, live for where it's at, how it is today, enjoy that, and embrace it. And then when tomorrow comes, you handle that as a new day. But just to live for today, just to do everything today to live for tomorrow, you will never find a sense of enjoyment. You will always be faced with conflict, because the conflict hasn't even arrived yet, but you're expecting it to come the next day. So definitely not an energy you want to be stuck in. So that's what I'm seeing for like the middle of March. You might be more aware of trying to live in the present, okay? The end of March, we have I won't cry for you. Okay? And this immediately is bringing me back to this Justice card here. It's immediately bringing me back to this Justice card. And I'm thinking that justice, it's all back into justice will be served, karma will be served. Someone is coming in, or a situation is happening where that justice or karma is being served. So now the scales are being balanced and you can get back into your normal energy that you're typically in here. But I feel like what you're saying is like, I will not cry for you. I won't cry for you. I'm not going to pity you. I have no remorse for you. I have no forgiveness. So the end of March, what I'm feeling is that when this justice moment happens, what you need to focus on and try to make sure that you're leading with is love and forgiveness. It's so easy, and it just came to me for some of you, like 35% of you, this justice moment is you literally finding out something that you may not have suspected. It's like you find out something about someone that has been like betraying you or doing something dirty behind your back. Like someone brings this information to you. They're telling you and letting you know, like, there's been some sneaky stuff going on. And that might be why you're a little paranoid about these two swords at the end of March here, is because you feel it intuitively, but you just don't know where it's coming from or what it is. But there's someone that brings that message in for you, and they're like, hey, this is what's going on. And it puts you back into that Emperor energy, because now that you know, you can deal with it. But just remember, there's no way that you can reach the Emperor energy if you are not leading with love and kindness and forgiveness here. Okay, so whenever this justice moment comes in and happens, I feel like it's really important for you to make sure you're forgiving this person. You can forgive without, allowing them back in to screw you over again. But in order to forgive, that's forgiving yourself as well. That's accepting the situation, taking what you've learned out of the situation as lessons, and moving forward in that energy, not in an energy of anger and hatred, guilt, shame, anything like that. Don't be trapped in those negative energies there. I want to do an overall advice card for you, and then that is how we're going to kind of end the reading here. what is my overall advice in March for Aries? Overall advice in March for Aries. These are like my favorite cards. These are the abundance cards, and I love these cards. Like, even just pulling one a day in the morning before I start my day, it's like a great way to know like what energies I might expect and how I can work with them and how to just lead the day in happiness and abundance. So these are definitely one of my favorite decks. It's called Divine Abundance. Yeah. Please show me the card for Aries in the month of March. Thank you. Okay, card I got was Change. It says, when the ego finally sees the utter madness of trying to control everything, you come to a sacred crossroads in your own evolution. So it sounds like Aries. And again, this is like this is giving me super middle of March vibes here. But I feel like this piece is like, this is like the first week, the last week, and then this is like the 2-week middle chunk of March. So once you realize that you cannot control everything, that's when ultimate abundance and connection and light can really come in. That's when you can really begin to evolve and transcend different situations and emotions, is once you essentially surrender. It doesn't say surrender, but that's a part of surrendering, is realizing that you cannot control every change in every aspect. It's not, that's not a life worth living, okay? So this card is essentially letting you know for the month of March, yeah, you will go crazy. The more that you try to control things and the more that you get in your head about it, it's going to drive you nuts. You're going to go crazy. But by the end of the month, you are going to be realizing, that you can't control everything. And that's what puts you back into a positive energy here, an energy of light. So yeah, month of March is heavily based in your finances. There's some conflict that goes on with the finances, but by the end of the month, it seems you learn some kind of new information that comes in. You want to make sure that you're leading in forgiveness with that information, but ultimately you're learning that you can't control everything, and that's not how you create change, is by controlling, okay? You create change by releasing. All right, Aries, that's all I have for you. Have a good month.
Bye-bye.